The At Your Insta podcast is brought to you by Comictown. Check them out at www.comictown.net or search for Comictown Gaming Center on Facebook. Hello, and welcome to At Your Instep. My name is Morgan, and I'm here with Mike.
Hello.
And Dave.
What up?
And we have another fun-filled episode for you guys here. So we have a lot of community stuff. So we're on the eve of the Pro Tour, pretty much. I guess a little bit further out, kind of, sort of for us, because it starts like Thursday
night.
Thursday night. This will hopefully go up either later tonight or tomorrow. So we're pretty close.
Today's Tuesday, but
Today is Tuesday, so we're the eve of the eve, if you will.
So Thursday night, put another shrimp on the barbie and tune in down under.
Yeah, you could do that.
I like to apologize.
Yeah, to all of our Australian listeners.
It's been a while since we had to do that. So.
That's true. So we obviously have a lot of community stuff actually linked directly to the Pro Tour, as well as the Pro Club, and a bunch of changes happening with that, as well as some minor sets that got fully released or spoiled, I should say. So we have to talk about that, and once we get done with our very lengthy community segment for this week, we do want to touch on the competitive segments that happened, the tournaments that basically happened over the weekend. So let's just jump right into it. So first and foremost, from the Vault lore, got fully spoiled. The actual card list is revealed to us at this point in time, and like most of the From the Vaults that we've seen, it's a bit hit or miss. We have some heavy hitters. All right, so we have Dark Depths, which everyone called like a mile away. We're getting a premium token. What card could come with a premium token? So that was a pretty good slam dunk. And then we have Umezawa's Jite. Great. That's a tournament staple and Legacy, obviously. Very powerful card for any other format most of the time. It's still pretty powerful for Legacy itself. So that's a home run as well. And that's a decently expensive card. Everything else kind of just bad, just terrible, just like not like obviously the From the Vault. They can't all be heavy hitters. Obviously, they have to print a smattering of cards that fit in with the flavor of what the set is about, as well as maybe looping in some tournament staples if they can. But this one, man, there are a lot of not good cards. So after we have our two heavy hitters, we do have Cabal Ritual.
Cabal Ritual with new art, which is sweet art.
And then we have Tularia West.
I think When We Were Vegas probably a hit out of this. The art is nice, and that is a really popular commander. So I think that's probably the third, at least on my list of things that people will actually be excited about.
Then after that, I guess Tularia West coming up last.
I guess, but
it sees like some play in Modern, less play than it used to see.
Are you ever playing this version over just a Tularia West though? Like
probably not. Maybe, I don't know. I mean the art's not any different, which is unfortunate, but it's there at the very least. But everything else, starting, minusing the ones that we already talked about, we have Conflux, so that is, from Alara, Beseech the Queen from Lorwyn. We have Glissa the Traitor from New Phyrexia, technically is the plane that they're referencing in that. Hellvault from Innistrad. Memnarch from Mirrodin. Mind's Desire from, I know it's based from the Mirari, but I don't know what plane.
It's Dominaria,
right?
It's like the island that's like Otaria. Is that it? Otaria is like the island. It's like somewhere south of the actual main continent.
Gotcha. Near Death Experience. That iconic card from Zendikar. Obliterate, which is. I forget what.
It's Dominaria.
Dominaria again. Dominaria Redux.
Baron is like back with the original like Tolarian Academy and Urza and all that fun stuff.
Phyrexian Processor, which is again what could that technically be like Wrath? Is Wrath it's technically a plane?
No, it's Wrath was like a false plane, like a plane
Phyrexia, right?
But this would be Phyrexia.
Okay, okay. Just straight up Phyrexia. Tolaria West. Well. That's from the west, just a little bit west up to
Dominant
there.
area.
Yeah. Just a little west. It's like West Philadelphia.
Born and raised.
And then Unmask, which is Mercadia.
Mercadia.
Yeah. So, and these cards are supposed to represent like prolific, story moments, and some of them, I mean, okay, they're supposed to reference like moments of lore based on what it said, which I guess all of them do. But man, you could have picked better cards.
I'm reminded of a toy that I used to cherish in my childhood. It was a guy. He had like rubbery arms and like a pump that went to his back. I think his last name was Armstrong. What was his first name?
I believe it was Stretch.
Oh yeah, a Stretch. Honestly, like I don't know. A lot of these cards make me angry because, like, from the Vault lore, like, enough of you listen to this cast to know that, like, I'd be the guy who'd be like, yeah, give me some lore. Now, I wasn't expecting, like, from the Vault Legends. You could just say, like, put all the legends in there and call it lore. But some of these story moments, like, yeah, you're not wrong. They're terrible. Like Cabal Ritual, yeah, like, there are some rituals. The Cabal, yeah.
That one, like, felt the most forced to me. And, like, I'm kind of, I know a little bit about the lore, but, like, and, a lot of these I recognize from, like, important points in the story, but Cabal Ritual just felt, like, forced in. It was just like, we'll just throw this in there. We'll throw him a bone.
Do you remember, like, the whole, like, point of that set, too? Like, where they had, like, the fighting pits and they had the cool guys that fought in the pits? Or, like, the weird god that was created because of the Mirari? All these weird... Cabal Ritual. That's cool.
Yeah.
This is as iconic as, like, the ritual that the Sultai had of throwing people to alligators. Like, just give me feed to the alligators or whatever it was. Give me that foiling process, whatever. And like, you could argue that like, oh well, they're just trying to like make legacy players happy. I guess maybe there's a couple guys out there who are really happy to get their 4 copies of this from the Vault premium foil. I doubt it though. This art is sweet, and then everyone will have to wait for Eternal Masters 2, just like they did with Hymn to Turok, to get foil versions they want to play.
You could get that premium Dead Drop.
Yeah, Dead Drop. That's the card. Thank you.
Dead Drop. But I mean, like, I think the way that they structured this, it was going to be hard to like make a hit every time necessarily. Because this should be calling back to players, like not necessarily me, who has I've only been playing since pretty much. Scars block. And that was like the tail end. That was more like I've been really playing since, from the start of a new block since Innistrad, pretty much. Where I'm going to get some of these, but I'm not going to get like a whole lot of them. So I think like that's hard. And it's really interesting. Like, who is this, supposed to appeal to?
I think the biggest offender, if you're looking at that, like let's look at Unmask here for a second. Which Unmask like is definitely iconic art. RK Post like has it whenever you see him. This is one of his pieces. He always has sort of shown proudly, and it's a good piece. But if you read the description underneath it, this is supposed to be Volrath, who, if you don't know, Volrath was like a major leader, essentially like a praetor, who eventually in the Mercadian Saga is replaced. He has his own cool legend to that set called Volrath the Fallen. But no, let's not do that. Let's not actually show Volrath, who was a major boss, like a villain in the lore. Let's show him shapeshifting, because he's a shapeshifter to a character named Takara. Do you know Takara? No? Takara?
No.
Oh, no one cares. And there's no flavor text on this piece to even clarify it. And there's literally the only way you know it's Volrath if you see the little head pieces next to her hair.
I'm pretty sure like the original card had flavor text as well.
But we don't need it from the Vault lore.
No, why would we need that?
And like the card is made like literally. So you're telling me that an iconic story moment was a shapeshifter shapeshifting. So that means I create an iconic moment whenever I cast Phyrexian Metamorph. Let's just be honest.
It's true.
There's other options on in Mercadia if that's where you want to be. Now some people will say like, oh, you should give us Rishadan Port. Well, sure, go ahead, give us Rishadan Port. But you could just give us, I don't know, any other like actual major story moment. The same goes for like Glissa. Like Glissa, literally, she was important in the first Mirrodin, and then she was sort of an afterthought in the second one. And it says she works for Vorinclex. One of the Praetors. One of the big cool legends that people want in like Commander and stuff. Nah, Glissa, not Vorinclex. It's just a lot of these don't make sense to me. I don't know. They try to like Phyrexian Processor. Okay, yes, the Phyrexians made copies of things. Maybe I feel like Planar Portal even would have been more iconic than this. It just. Not to mention the fact that we didn't get a Legacy Weapon, or Karn himself, or Flagship Predator or the Weatherlight or any other member of the Weatherlight crew who are supposed to be really important according to the Unmasked thing. I know we already had Captain Sisay. There's this guy called Gerard Capuchin. He was pretty important in the story. I don't know. I feel like they didn't want to put all legends in here. I get it. But man, a lot of these are misses.
Correction. Original Unmasked did not have flavor text.
All right.
Oh man, we would have got
My bad.
lambasted
So when you
for that.
open Unmask in a pack, did you ever go, oh man, I'm glad I opened this cool story moment on a card?
No.
No, you didn't know what it was. Why isn't it from the Vault lore?
I did play it back in the day. Not to sound like Uncle Randy or anything,
No, the
but
card-
that
the
card
card
is
is
sweet.
sweet,
It
yeah.
was sweet in Necrodex because you didn't care about the card disadvantage.
Yeah, so I mean, if this is your thing and you're a collector, then like that's what you want, then great, good on you, I guess. But it's not something obviously that competitive players should be interested in necessarily. But as like someone who has enjoyed some of these sets previously and has desired to get them, I can't see myself like wanting to get this. And maybe if I stumble upon it for like MSRP, like maybe I'll pick it up. But that would be like a solid maybe. So the other thing that got fully released out to the world as far as the deck lists go is the next dual deck, and this is going to be Nissa versus Obnixilis, and this is going to be released actually a month from today, September 2nd, I believe is what it says here. And I mean, to be fair, it almost doesn't matter what is in the deck. In all honesty, to me, because like both these planeswalkers are fairly heavily played at this point in time.
Yeah,
And, you're still going to get like your use out of them by the time that this deck list actually comes out. So just for the sheer fact, like if you need some of these planeswalkers, it might be a good enough time to sort of invest in it. But as far as like the rest of the cards that are in here, there's not like a whole lot of value in my opinion.
there's some cool like new arts for some cards. Like
Very,
we
very
have
much
a
so.
Crop rotation with new art.
Yeah, that new art is awesome, and I think that there's going to be like a lot of players very sad that you can't get that foil. Like it's just like how it is. But that new art is stellar.
So I'm looking at it now, and I just realized like it's literally like a crop rotation. Like it turned the crop upside down.
Yeah, no, it's quite literal. There is
That's pretty good.
new, very inferior art for Ambition's cost. I would not suggest that you do that art at
Yeah,
all.
you got to go with the original Portal 3 Kingdoms art.
Yeah, and I
if
mean,
you
you
wanna
can
play
even
that
get like
card.
a sweet like foil version of that art too, because it got reprinted like when
Yeah.
8th or 9th edition or something like that.
The Doomblade art is pretty hot though.
Yeah, that Doomblade art is very choice, very very nice. Yeah, I think like crop rotation is like the really big hitter, but there really isn't that much else that I have really found or seen that grabs my eye
Right.
as far as these decks in these lists. I guess with a Nissa deck you do get a Treetop Village, which is kind of nice.
Yeah, I mean, like if you're just going for value, there's not going to be too much else that's really going to add to it. But like you said, like the two planeswalkers, like especially I think Obnixilis may even see more play than it has been, just because we discussed how good Oath of Liliana is in combination with that card.
Oh yeah.
So I think you may see an uptick in Obnixilis, and Nissa has been pretty much a staple since it was printed.
Yeah.
Continues to be in standard at least. So
Right. But yeah. Mike, you have any opinions on the deck list? Mind you, if you want to make any opinions about crop rotation, make them now, because the art's choice.
No, I think it's fine. I don't know. These didn't excite me in any way, and I won't buy them, but they're not for me. So
No, they're not. But I mean, like it's kind of interesting. Like these things will help keep prices in check for Obnixilis and Nissa.
it is awkward that they came out after this is sort of seeing her probably the heaviest play she'll see for a little while, but
Well,
nice. But we can do.
I mean,
yeah, we'll get
did
to that.
win
Yeah, we'll get to
the
that.
tournament.
So
Even that, like, I mean, rotation will happen. Like these will still be valid post rotation. Like both these planeswalkers still exist, post Kaladesh.
Yeah, it's not like, what was it? Was it Elspeth that came out like right before it was rotating?
Yeah, Elspeth versus
it was
Kiora,
just
and
oh, thanks.
oh yeah, this is real helpful. Thank you. So, but yeah, I think this is a nice way to kind of keep these cards from ballooning in price any more than what they could be. Really, you're not going to see like $50 Nissas or anything like that. But I don't know if that card would ever drive that cost.
Not like $50 Lilianas.
But I mean, Nissa is also important to point out because she was she was a small set walker, right? Because she was Oath.
Oath, yes.
Yeah, so that's important. Like, Nixilis is like not make or break, but Nissa could actually get more expensive, and this kind of prevents that. So it's a good thing. All right. So this is where we're going to kind of dive into all of the big PT. Eldritch Moon organized play announcements. This is the like Pro Tour Players Club updates. The introduction of new like team series, which is fairly interesting. World Championship stuff. So
we had a bomb dropped on us today.
Yeah, it was everything.
It wasn't like a bad bomb though. It was like a bomb of like candy. It's like
a pinata.
Everybody wins.
One might say.
Right.
WikiLeaks got to Wizards.
Yeah. No, so this is obviously all information that you can find on the daily MTG page. And they have split it up pretty nicely into various different articles as well, which is fairly handy. But we're kind of just gonna run down everything from top to bottom here for you guys. So I assume we're gonna start with the Pro Tour Players Club update. So Platinum players will receive a $500 appearance fee for the first 6 Grand Prix main events that the player competes in the current season. So currently, how it works is Platinum players receive $250 appearance fee per Grand Prix main event the player competes in. So they're kind of capping it, basically.
Yeah, so they're capping it, but they get twice as much.
Right. So I mean, like in theory, this is kind of like. I don't know how many Platinum pros are attending, 12 Grand Prix a year currently.
No, this is an elegant fix.
Yeah. So it's kind of what it equates to. And I think, like, pro players will still be pretty okay with getting, what essentially, is 12 GP payouts on the current system. So.
Yeah, they wanted it to line up with the 6, you get your 6 GPs that you get to use toward your
right.
GP points.
So that makes sense. So that sometimes if you just get 6 and you're just like, that's all for me. But yeah, that's fairly nice. And then Platinum players will no longer receive hotel accommodations for each Pro Tour during the 2017 and 2018 changes. And both the changes happened during the 2017-2018 season, correct?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, like most of these changes are happening. They go into effect a year from now.
Right.
But they have to say it now so we don't have a debacle like we had last time when they announced things saying like, hey, guys, by the way, in a couple months, we're just cutting all your benefits.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's nice that they're putting it out there this far in advance.
This will make sense as well. They already mentioned that most of the Platinum pros actually get houses with teams, so not many of them were actually using it. So
yeah, I mean, and if it means like if they had to cut costs somewhere, this is probably the least important thing that I would say. I mean, not that I've ever used this, but
so does this mean that the rest of the like Platinum payout stuff remains unchanged for the next season? Then like they reverted, and now they're going to keep it for the next 2 seasons, I guess.
I mean, they didn't have anything else on the Platinum payout, so I would think if they were planning on cutting it, it would be in this announcement. So,
or quietly right after the Pro Tour, like the last time. We'll see, though.
Yeah, I mean that's obviously the next thing that we kind of want to keep our ears to the ground on. But this is the announcements that we got today. So the new thing that kind of got announced is the Magic Pro Tour Team Series. So this is going to be an optional program that officially rolls out with Pro Tour Albuquerque in 2017. It'll be 9-player teams with one person designated as the team captain. Teams will remain intact for the entirety of the season, so you have to stay locked in with your team if you still want to participate. The prize pool for this series basically will be $200,000 awarded to the top 4 performing teams. In the first Pro Tour, all 9 players pro points from this PT are added. The second and third PT will be it'll only count the top 6 players' pro points from the respective PTs. It'll only count the top 6 from those respective pro tours. After the third pro tour, the top 8 teams will all receive invites to and a travel award to the fourth pro tour. So that's actually pretty huge for some players, especially ones that are part of teams but aren't consistently queued through various reasons. So like getting that auto queue for high performing basically will be pretty awesome.
Yeah, if you've got like a team like Deck Builder who like always helps in testing but isn't always qualified, you can still put that person down as like your ninth teammate, and then their hard work for the rest of the team can pay off at the end, which is really awesome.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, you get to come to this one. Yeah!
And then after that fourth Pro Tour, the top 4 teams will receive invites and travel award to the first PT of the following season. And then members are not required to stay with their current team, so you can reorganize for the next Pro Tour.
For the next season.
Yeah, for the next season, yes. And then the top 2 teams after the fourth Pro Tour will face off in a team final at the World Championship. And then the soft launch is scheduled for Pro Tour Aether Revolt in February. So they're going to do a sort of a preliminary one, if as it were.
Right. Yeah. It's a lot of information to take in. This is something that's so new and they haven't done it before. Where it's like I had to read this like 2 or 3 times just to like make sure I was understanding everything that's happening with it. But yeah, I'm pretty excited to see how this goes. Real quick on the soft launch, I didn't list all the details for this because it's still kind of up in the air and they don't even really know if it's for sure going to launch at PT Aether Revolt. But basically, they're going to do like a preliminary one where they're just going to be like after the fourth Pro Tour, they're just going to cut to like the top 2 teams and they get a payout or something. So
nice. But no, I think this is a great change. This is really how you further invest in highlighting teams. You are able to like have a team that is consistent, that wants to play for a prize payout, that can be highlighted Pro Tour after Pro Tour after Pro Tour. It's another leaderboard that we can follow, and it's another way for people to rally behind players and teams. Like instead of having players switch teams every Pro Tour, which we see pretty consistently.
Or teams come and go.
Yeah, exactly. So this way, if you have players that are committed to this, then they're going to stay with their team. Their team's going to be consistent, and then you have a way within the actual system to make sure teams stay consistent through qualification, especially if they're consistently performing well. Now, obviously, Magic can be a game of variance, which I think this is where this program gets rocky. And now, obviously, there have been teams that have done consistently well enough to put up results Pro Tour after Pro Tour, but sometimes that just doesn't necessarily. That's not always a guarantee. So I do hope that they can do this and like still have consistency with team performance and team qualification. But I imagine you form your teams with that in mind. So.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited about this. And one of the things that I was kind of asking, myself as I was reading through it, I was just like, so what's going to happen if like not everybody's queued for all the Pro Tours? But then I read a little bit further and said, okay, they're only going to take the top 6. So if you have a couple people that maybe they're just silver or something like that, and they only have 1 invite, they're not necessarily platinum or whatever. So I think that's a good fix. And like I said, I think it's interesting. I think it's good that they are basically forced to keep the team together for the whole year, so you can kind of follow the same team throughout the whole year. It's something that Wizards has done, like I think increasingly over the last couple of years, as they tried to like highlight teams and things like that. But they're changing so often that it's hard to know like who's on what team anymore going into each Pro Tour. So I wonder if they kind of took a hint from what Star City is doing, and we see like kind of the teams emerging there, or even like players are wearing jerseys now instead of just T-shirts that say Channel Fireball or whatever on them. So I another thing I just wanted to touch on is now I'm not a big like esports guy. I don't watch like other streams of other games, but they do that, right? They have teams in other games, right? That well, you got the jerseys and they stay together.
No, I mean, this is when they first made that initial platinum announcement last year. They even said one of their goals was to gently push players towards teams that get independent funding. So this is now a large push.
Oh, a very large push, and like kind of nixing even that independent funding. I mean, that prize pool at the end of the year is definitely something that you're aiming towards at this point in time. So yes, you can acquire independent funding, but then like you now have a goal as a team.
Right.
Now, see, the thing with those, what we see a lot of times with esports teams is they're playing games that are team based. The interesting with Magic, it's not necessarily team based.
Well, not in game preparation for sure.
Yes. So I think like that is something that is a bit of an oddity when you're trying to transition into something a bit more esports like. Is that you still have your individual results. But you do have things like I think probably good comparison would probably just be StarCraft. StarCraft is something that you play solo, but you are with a team. So I imagine I would hope that they're taking a lot of cues off of that scene. But a lot of other like League of Legends and stuff like that, sort of the bigger games are essentially team based, which helps a lot with wanting consistency. But I think it's a good change, and like I said, anything that works towards highlighting these teams that form every season and allows people to rally behind them, I think is pretty important.
Yeah, I love the idea. I love that there's basically no downside to it. It's an optional thing, so you can get a team together and participate. But if you don't, then it's not. There's no downside. It's free money if you're good enough to actually, be at that top 4 at the end of the year. I think it'll be great to kind of like. I think it'll increase competition, in between teams. We'll get to see like who's the best team. Is it the Pantheon or is it East West Bowl, who's like kind of a new team that's been doing really well?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, even those teams though, like Team West Bowl or Team East West Bowl it's more than 9 players.
Right, I know. I think they're going to have to break up into like West and East.
Oh, no.
just be East Bowl and West Bowl.
Yeah, so I think that's what's cool about it too. Is I think that size is interesting because it does cause some of the larger teams. Now, a couple of teams like Channel Fireball has already they've sort of split, but it will cause because they could have made it larger, but then you're not going to get enough teams based on the size of the PTs. So this makes a lot of sense in making sure that because you do have roughly the same 100 to 200 people at Pro Tours, and then the rest are your sort of intermittent qualifications. So they could have made them too much larger and also had enough teams to have a top 8 teams. Because you don't want your 8th team to be like how it works in basketball, where it's like some team that's got like, oh, we got 15 pro points this season, so we made it in the top 8. We'll see you guys in the 4th Pro Tour. That's
Yeah, and like I think that'll be. I saw what you will see. I imagine is like the same like amount of people, living, cohabitating and training together, and then like just you'll have team sectioning off. So you'll have Team Channel Fireball A, Team Channel Fireball B, things like that. Team Pantheon, like further delineation of the separation we already have with teams.
Right, and I think it'll be mutually beneficial for both. For Wizards, from like a coverage standpoint, because I think it makes things much more interesting from their perspective, and also I think it'll raise even more, awareness of the teams. One thing that Starseed has done, I wouldn't not even really recently, but like over the past year, is where they have like the kind of like the player profiles, and they'll put like their age and like how many top 8s and everything, and then they're branded that has their team affiliation on the bottom. I think you'll be able to see something like that in coverage as well. So people will be able to put more than just a T-shirt if that's somebody wearing. They'll be able to put like names to teams on a consistent basis. So
you guys want to start a jersey printing business? Because I feel like that might be a good idea right about now.
So we call ourselves Jerseys, and it's actually JRZZZZ.
Yes,
Jerseys.
I was going to say I thought that was already a company, but not with triple Z's.
We'll put your jersey needs to bed. jerseys, because the Z's are also like sleeping.
Yeah, no, it's great. We can't make
Don't-
this podcast now
don't sleep on us.
someone's gonna steal that.
We patenting
I'm
it
just
right
checking
now?
to see if jerseys is available. It's a hashtag.
Oh, then that's probably not good. It's probably not a good thing.
I'm not clicking on this.
Yeah, don't do a search for that.
I think we
It's
can all,
probably offensive.
Yeah, it's bad. We can all agree this is awesome though. So
Yeah, no, I definitely
excited.
agree with that.
I wonder what they're gonna do for like the final, like at Worlds, it's like the 9-on-9 team showdown. Like, I really want to see what that's gonna be all about.
It's gonna be a 9-person team unified Momir Vic.
I hope it's an actual just like Royal Rumble where like
Oh,
each player comes running into the actual.
Oh no, that'd be like more like a Survivor Series, but
well,
like instead of like 5-person teams or whatever, you have like 9-person teams.
It's like, and Owen Turtwald's entering the ring. Oh, he's out. Oh, better at Magic than wrestling. That's should have probably played Magic.
All right.
Huey Jensen, by the way, wins the wrestling.
Yeah,
He's just the big show.
He just palms people, right? And they're trying to swing. Anyway, moving on. So we did get some more information about the 2016 World Championship as well. It'll take place at PAX West in Seattle. And it'll be held on September 1st through the 4th. And day 1 will be rounds 1 through 3. It'll be Shadows over Innistrad Eldritch Moon booster draft. And rounds 4 through 7 will be standard constructed. And then day 2, rounds 7 through 10 will be another draft. It'll be Shadows Eldritch Moon. And then day 3, rounds 11 through 14 will be modern constructed. And then the top 4 will be standard constructed on day 4. So, nothing too like groundbreaking here. Definitely seems like a pretty good world championship.
Yeah, it's kind of. I thought it was kind of boring when I first read it. I don't know what else they could do really to spice it up.
Yeah.
I don't like that it's spread out over 4 days though.
Wrestling match. I'm just.
Like day 2, for example, just being like one draft and that's it. It's kind of lame. But
Yeah, well, so interestingly enough, I do think they're trying to make it something to come see at PAX. Like, I think that's
Sure.
like, hey, come see the best Magic players in the world. Draft.
Compete for,
What
large
will
amount
they
of money.
slam as their first pick? I can't get out of wrestling. I'm really sorry.
we've already done the wrestling bit on this podcast.
Doesn't matter.
It's been a while though.
It's coming back.
So, but yeah, I mean that's that is what it is, and yeah, whatever. It'll be cool. It'll be fun to watch, even though it's kind of stretched out. Who cares?
No, I do want to say, the slots here, because Dave, you went to the lengths to painstakingly throw the slots out there. No more GP Player of the Year.
Yeah, it makes me sad. That was like my favorite thing.
They just had so this is the first year they've had it.
No.
No, second. I'm sorry, right?
So last year it was Hayne and Pascal Maynard.
Okay.
Right, they were the two
Sorry,
that
you're
were
right.
going for it.
But both races have been really fun to watch. Like we're gonna get to this weekend. Like what, BBD, that was awesome.
It literally came down to like the end of the tournament.
So I don't know why they'd be like I don't know how you look objectively at this weekend and go, well, this was unsuccessful.
Yeah. So yeah, the 2017 slots are going to be changing. So we have the 4 Pro Tour winners: the Magic Online Champion, Standard Master, Draft Master, North American Champion, European Champion, Asia Pacific Champion, Latin American Champion. The 13 remaining spots will just go to the top ranked players after that.
And the People's Champion.
Yeah, of
Well,
course.
actually, there's no People's Champion. Like the
I know.
World Champ slot is actually not carrying over either.
That's-
So like the last year's
That
World
doesn't make
Champion
any
is,
sense to me personally, but I like the idea of defending the belt. Again, I'm not going to not speak in wrestling references. It's just not possible.
right, but I mean, if you won it one year, chances are you're probably good enough to make it to the next year, unless you
Okay.
just completely don't do anything and then just show up.
Okay, so let's talk about that. Yeah, Shahar Shenhar, right? They celebrate him as a 2-time champion. He wouldn't have been back in the second year without that slot.
Right.
Reed wouldn't have been either. The second year?
Yeah, he made it on his own accord. He was platinum, I'm pretty sure.
Not Reed. Reed didn't actually win it.
Yeah.
Who am I thinking
No.
of? Sorry,
Yeah,
it
I
wasn't
don't
Reed.
know.
I apologize, Reed. I take it back.
His hair is very angry with
Yeah,
you.
it is. But like, I don't know. Like, they celebrate him as like the back-to-back champ, but like, that's it.
I mean, that's a great achievement, and we talked about that here. I mean, that's going back to back World Championships. Maybe we'll never see it again. I don't know. That seems really hard to do, especially when you're playing with the 24 best players in the world. However, like you said, like Shahar wouldn't have been there the second year because he didn't do.
Are we saying he wasn't deserving because he won it? So like I think it's a weird it's an area. I could see the justification both ways, but I like the person from the year before, having the chance. So his dream for back to back I guess 3-time world champion isn't alive. My dream for 3-time cube champion though is still alive.
Oh, no.
So and in fact could still go back to back to back. So I'm coming for you, Shard.
Yeah, I think his accolades that he gets for world champion is a little bit different than cube champion.
He can design his own card.
I
Pales
guess,
in comparison.
I guess that's true. And then the prize pool is actually going to be kind of changing. So it's going to be a $300,000 prize pool with $100,000 going to the winner. And then the amount of pro points awarded will be changed to 1 pro point per match win in the Swiss after the third match win.
Right. So you have to win 3 matches, and then every match win after that you start accruing pro points. So it makes sense. I mean, I kind of felt like the people that played in the World Championship the year before had a pretty huge advantage going into the next season. And this will kind of mitigate that a little bit. So you still have a little bit of advantage, but you're not like way ahead of everybody else.
Yeah, I think that's a fair enough change. So next up is the fun one to kind of talk about. It is the Pro Tour top 8 bracket in prize payout changes. So starting with PT Kaladesh, there's going to be a new top 8 bracket.
This is wild.
Yeah, so basically the kind of way that I've rationed, there's two quarterfinals, right? There's quarterfinal part 1 and then quarterfinal the sequel. For lack of a better term. So basically the first round of the quarterfinals will only be 5th through 8th playing.
Right. So you have the 5 seed plays the 8 seed, and then the 6 seed plays the 7 seed.
Correct.
Winners advance.
Yes. And then you have the second round of the quarterfinals, which will be the 2 advancing players and then the 3rd seed and the 4th seed
Correct.
Playing. And then those winners advance. And then you actually hit the semifinals.
Yeah.
And the semifinals will be the advancing players and then the 1st and 2nd place in the top 8.
From the Swiss, yeah.
Yes. And then those will obviously filter into the finals. So basically, it rewards you for placing higher in the top 8, which is a pretty huge boon for the Pro Tour. Not having, if you're the 1st or 2nd seed, not having to play until the semifinals, pretty good.
Yeah, who knew buys? Still good.
Still good, especially the top 8 of the Pro Tour.
Yep.
I really like this change, and I think it's very interesting how people have been sort of the ID issue has come to the forefront in this last season, especially if we go back to Eric Froehlich's article. This idea of concessions, and all of a sudden now between this update and the team update, they're really strongly hinting that like IDing or concessions are going to cost you. Like a team is much less likely to draw or concede, in the later rounds, and because like at the end of a Pro Tour, the team thing sort of becomes irrelevant, right? Where it's like, okay, well, this person needed to get to this many, Pro Tours, so I conceded to them. Now, if your teammate, your team versus team, where team points at the end of the season are important, you're not doing that round. And the same goes here. Like you're not drawing in, you're not just conceding to people. Like the seeding is so important that all of a sudden, I think it's going to reduce the draws at top tables of these Pro Tours, and that's going to be pretty awesome.
Yeah, and I think that's 100% the intent. Now, I will say that it will be interesting to see if this like cascades downward to GPs, and then is potentially picked up by other circuits.
Star City Invitational seems primed and ready for something like this.
Oh yeah, for sure. But I think it's pretty cool. And a change to how top 8 works is I think it's going to be a breath of fresh air.
I will say this, and I do think this is interesting. I'm not sure how I feel about it yet. I guess we'll kind of see how it plays out. But one potential downside here is that it really puts an emphasis on tiebreakers, and tiebreakers are already kind of a thing that like nobody really wants it to come down to tiebreakers. You know what I mean? Like if you finish like third on tiebreakers and like have to play an extra match because of that, it's pretty feel bad. Or like if you finish like sixth instead of fifth, then you have to play an extra round in that way. So, I feel like nobody really wants things to come down to tiebreakers because it's not really something you have any control over. So that's kind of a feel bad, but we'll see how it plays out.
For the viewers at home, they won't care.
Oh yeah, it's great.
yeah.
For the people in the tournament, like.
You're not wrong. It's frustrating. Like, I think we've all been in the position where you lose round 1, and then you have a great tournament for the rest of the day. But then, like the last round, you're forced into an awkward position because your breakers are bad, and it's legitimately you can say, "Oh, it's your fault. You lost round 1." It's like, well, it's not my fault. The fault that that opponent then went 0-2 and dropped after that, and ruined my breakers for the rest of the day. And now that's a measuring tool compared to these other players. So, but you have to do it some way. Like, there's no way around this. There has to be some sort of way to figure this out. Unfortunately, this isn't like even like golf where you can have multiple people just like be in the same. Like if they went to like payout based on record, maybe they could go that way, but it still doesn't work for top 8 cuts. So
yeah, well, I mean you're right. I was gonna say they have pro points based on record, which is still staying the same.
And that makes sense. But when the monetary stuff is literally decided by that cut, you got to keep tiebreakers. So love them or hate them.
Yeah,
they're sticking around.
Especially
Interesting.
Go ahead, Morgan.
Interesting fact with that cut for price payout, it gets a little higher, technically. Meaning that if you get 7th or 8th, you're still getting the same payout as 9th through 16th.
Yeah. So you want to run down like the updated prize payout real quick?
Yeah, you if you have it up, you can. I don't have it up.
I have it up.
Okay.
Or do you have it, Dave?
Yeah, I have it.
Okay, go for it.
So first place, right now it's 40,000. It's being updated to 50,000.
Hooray!
Okay, all right. Second place 20,000. Third and fourth 15,000. Fifth through sixth 10,000. Then you would think 7th through 8th. No, 7th through 16, 5,000. So if you make top 8, quote unquote top 8, and then you lose in that first round, you lose $5,000 compared to everybody else.
You know what? They really wanted to make their point here, and they have illustrated it flawlessly. Be better than 7th and 8th. That's what I have to tell you. Pro Tour champions aren't in 8th place anyways.
So if you finish like 8th and then lose immediately, is that like a fake top 8? Like it didn't really happen?
No, it's still a top 8. You played on Sunday.
Yeah.
Now, if they start doing that round Saturday night, then it's a false positive.
Yeah.
They don't even televise it. They're like that's like the like a UFC fight, like when they have the undercard matches, like in the on Fox or whatever. Not even in the pay-per-view.
Yeah, nope. It's like this one. Just you can just watch this one. You don't have to pay for it.
Yeah, I mean, obviously that could be a little bit awkward, and like you want a top 8 and like know that it's a significant jump from like if you finished 16th. The fact that you'd be like, well, I finished 7th and got the same amount of money as someone who finished 16th is a little bit awkward. But
to be fair, I think though, like if you look at like the Hall of Fame voting that they're currently talking about, a lot of players are starting to emphasize like top 16s versus just top 8s because of the breaker issue. So if we're going to start equating those that way, then again, this still makes sense. So,
yeah, then it's kind of like a moot point besides the money.
Yeah. So one thing that kind of saves it a little bit is if you finish 7th or 8th, you still get 15 pro points versus, I don't know what a top 16 gets, but not that many pro points. Not as many, I should say.
Right.
So you at least get that, which I mean, with the teams and everything, could be quite relevant.
Oh yeah, for sure. And then next up we do have the 2017 Grand Prix schedule, which is pretty awesome. Some highlights include a team unified Modern Grand Prix in San Antonio,
There's also one in Madrid.
as well as Madrid. And the San Antonio one's going to be March 31st through April 2nd. So this is actually just an elaborate April Fool's Day joke for the San Antonio one.
It's not really happening.
And then the one in Spain is going to be December 8th through December 10th
Of 2017.
of 2017.
Not this year.
Yes, correct. 2017.
Just to clarify.
But yeah, this is going to be technically theoretically at this point in time, the second time that we'll see Team Unified Modern, because it'll be at Worlds.
It'll be the first time we've seen Team Unified constructed as a GP format, though.
Correct.
So,
But I mean, as a format in general.
well, yeah, I mean, it's
Theoretically the second
great.
time.
It's great.
So it'll be interesting. I do want to see how it is played out initially. So it'll be exciting to see, like, when the countries compete, how that actually shakes out and looks. But Team Unified standard and the actual formats where they you pick and choose, and like you have interesting deck building choices that you have to make that you don't typically have in regular constructed formats are always fairly interesting. And it's fun. It's fun just playing Magic with your friends and like being on the same team.
I think this has potential to be exciting, but it also could be terrible. So I think it could be exciting just because Modern has so many different decks that you could play. So I think there are many more combinations that a team could play versus something like a block format or standard even. So that's good, but Modern is also very matchup dependent. So depending on what decks you have and like where your players are lined up, you could go from having like the decks. You could have all three decks that beat all three of your opponent's decks, but then if you're just in the wrong seat, then it could just go from like a really good matchup to a terrible matchup. So we'll see. We'll see how it plays out. I think the World Magic Cup this year is the first tournament that's going to have it.
Yes,
so
correct.
We'll see how it plays out.
That's what I want to see. Like, I want to see how that plays out and kind of base my excitement off of that. But this could be a tempting Pro Tour for, to travel to. I think it's going to be, pretty well...
GP.
Grand Prix.
Yes.
Space Jams.
This could be a pretty heavily traveled Space Jam.
I'm not going to lie. Like, I want to, like, my mind, I want to go... You're not going to go to Texas in March. And then like, part of me is like, though, but we could go to Texas in March.
If we do well enough, we can form Team At Your End Step. And then we just need to find 6 more players willing to join.
That might be a difficulty. I mean, we know 6 other Magic players, but I don't know how much of a really fruitful endeavor forming Team At Your End Step would be.
We would all need to qualify for the first Pro Tour.
Correct.
And then we also need to find 6 other people that are also qualified for the first Pro Tour. At least.
This seems like a challenge that
may be challenging.
I'm not really up.
Challenge accept.
No.
Think of the sweet jerseys we could get, though.
I mean, we could just do that anyway.
Yeah, order now. Jerseys.
Jerseys. Don't look at the hashtag.
Don't sleep on it.
We don't know what the hashtag means. It could be good. It could be bad. I have no idea. And then there's also going to be a triple GP weekend in Las Vegas. It's going to be the 15th through the 18th. It's going to be standard, modern, and legacy GPs all in the same weekend.
Pretty sure I saw Room Browser had already hashtagged the GP, hashtag GP Las Vegas.
Yeah, it's pretty good. And like, so to me, like, obviously San Antonio is like pretty exciting, but man, if you want to have like a Magic vacation, you should just go to Las Vegas. Obviously Las Vegas in June, probably really, maybe not the best time.
You're going to be inside all day. That's fine.
Yeah.
You don't go outside at these things.
No, you just go from like GP to casino to broke to airport to home.
So it's like airport to transport to GP to casino to GP to casino to GP to casino to transport to home to bankrupt.
Yeah, to sadness.
Yeah, if Magic wasn't enough of a tax on your financial needs, then...
to divorced.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And then Columbus. Columbus is going to get another GP, and it's going to be on June 23rd to the 25th, and be team limited.
Yeah, team sealed. Woo woo.
That's very exciting.
Yeah, it's there's a lot more of those. I'm really glad to see not only increase how many GPs there are, they went up again, as opposed to last year when we went down a little bit, but also to see more team. Like, if they're going to say that we can't cover all of these, that Team Seal's not an easy one to cover. That's fine. Just give us more fun GPs, like more things to go and do, and like, man, I'm in.
Yeah, and this feeds into like their mentality. Like, hey, we want to cover teams. So we have teams of 9. You're saying? Oh wait, what's 9 dividable by? 3.
9.
Also true.
Also 1.
You're ruining my point.
I know.
I hate you.
That's why it's the best.
3. This is it's very well planned. All right, it's good. It's a good thing. All right, and then we have more PPTQ and RPTQ dates for 2017.
I didn't bother listening.
Yeah, we got dates for all the
they're there.
WMCQs
Yeah.
and Super Sunday Series.
Yeah, nothing is actually
Eternal
changing with the
weekends.
actual. Yeah, nothing's changing with the structure of the PPTQs and RPTQs. It's just dates that are announced. So go check those
Essentially,
out.
they gave us a date palooza.
Yes.
Sorry, I can't say that word normal.
It's all right. It's not going to be echoed on this podcast.
The
I'm sorry.
doctor says it's a problem.
Did you guys see North American Eternal Weekend?
Yeah, it's in Columbus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So next September,
Mhm.
23rd and 24th.
It's also in Columbus this year, isn't it? Or did it already happen?
No, I think it's in Columbus later this year.
Yeah.
So,
Oh,
Yeah. So,
welcome to the present from the future.
yeah.
correct.
We're not really in an Eternal podcast.
I will say, does Eternal have modern champs as well now? No.
I don't think so. I think it's just Legacy and Vintage.
If I had modern champs, I'd be in there. I'd be there.
Yeah, technically, I don't think they actually consider Modern an eternal format.
Eventually, you guys are going to have to accept your successor.
Yes.
You're going to have to.
Yeah, I understand. When the dinosaurs that currently play Vintage all become extinct.
Wow.
That's not true.
Wow.
I apologize to all Vintage players.
Dinosaurs can't play Magic. Most of them don't have like hands that can reach the table, and they just go.
I feel bad for them. There are many dinosaurs represented on Magic cards,
So,
and to not be able to play them must be a crime.
Wow.
so speaking of Modern as an Eternal format, did you guys happen to see Mario's blog? Where somebody asked him if like they were ever going to come up with like some new in between Modern and Standard format.
Oh yeah, he said yes.
He said like that may be something they explore eventually, like as Modern and Standard become further and further apart. Like Modern obviously is going to continue to grow, so that was a little interesting.
I mean, I think it's still a long ways away.
Yeah.
And also, I think that happens when Modern becomes de facto Legacy.
Yeah.
And that's going to happen, guys. I'm sorry. You got Martin Shkreli buying all your cards out. But I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, basically, like,
I don't know if I said his name the right way. I actually don't care if I
think-
said his name the right way. But
yeah, I mean that's just gonna happen. Like, so obviously, I don't mean the dinosaurs jab, but I mean like the cards just don't exist for Vintage. So Vintage is going to become a proxy format. It just has to. You will not have actual like real tournaments in Vintage because not enough players have enough cards that are in good enough condition to actually continue playing, or are literally worth too many dollars to consider playing. And then you have Legacy that's going to slide into what Vintage is right now, and then Modern becomes New Legacy. And then at that point in time, you do not have you can't hold up Modern being at this simple transition from Standard. They battle with that constantly, and there are times where like they introduce new cards in Standard that translate well into Modern and make it something that you can transition to. We can even take a note from that by what won the Modern Classic that we'll be talking about. That's actually a really good example of like, hey, we released some cards and unbanned some cards, and now you actually have a viable deck that you can buy cards for it now from the new set. And have access to cards that aren't like an arm, a leg.
Yeah, one thing I could see them doing, and this is just total off tangent talking about this, but I could see them doing like a super standard, I guess, where it's like basically like 2 standards. So you have like what current standard is, and then like the previous 4 sets. What do we have in standard? 6 sets right now.
yeah,
So like maybe you have like the previous 6 sets to that, so it's just like a larger
Extended.
pool.
Yeah,
I guess extended standard.
You
Yeah,
just make extended again,
right.
And then it's only a format that gets played during extended PPTQ season. Cool.
Yeah, I think we're talking far enough in advance. We have to worry about this right now. So
Right.
Yeah, exactly. But it's an interesting thing to kind of take note of, and like you'd be foolish to say that Wizards isn't like considering this. So, but guys, we made it through the very large community segment. So before we get into our competitive side of the show, we did want to shout out that Saturday, August 7th is going to be the Star City Games Regionals that is going to be hosted by Comic Town, and it's going to be in Columbus, Ohio, and it'll be a standard format tournament and may be held at the Greater Columbus Convention Center. Has a 10 a.m. start time, so be there before 10 a.m. Players meeting will start at 10 a.m. I believe registration typically starts an hour beforehand, so 9 a.m. It's a $40 entry fee, and a total of $5,000 will be given away in cash prizes to the top 32 players, as well as qualifications to the Star City Games Invitational to the top 8. The first 200 registered players will receive an exclusive playmat and creature token, which is not again, the 1/1 goblin token. Very clever naming convention they have for that little goblin. This event will be capped at 300 players, and pre-registration is open online through the event page on Facebook. Do a quick search for Comic Con Gaming Center, and follow the link for tickets. There will be numerous 8-player set events as well, such as Booster Draft, Eternal Masters Draft, Standard, Modern, or Legacy Winterboxes. So, if you aren't going to Gen Con this weekend, like some of us on this podcast, we do encourage you to come and participate in the Comic Town hosted, I should say, Star City Games Regionals. And if playing Standard isn't your thing and you don't really want to come down just for side events, Comic Town is running a modern format Super IQ on August 8th at the actual store location. Again, this is going to be a 10 a.m. start time, $30 entry fee, and cash prizes, and invitational qualifications will be handed out as well. Top 8 cash prizes, and then the finalists will be qualified for the invitational. So yeah, plenty of things that happened, plenty of things to do in Columbus, Ohio over the weekend, being held by our lovely sponsor, Comic Town. All right. Let's go ahead and move into the competitive side of the show. So, the GPs that happened over the weekend were all limited, so we will be talking about them in a limited capacity.
Hey-oh.
So let's get started with GP Sydney. Scott Lip was the victor. He took the entire tournament down. But the really exciting thing to come out of this is BBD Brian Bronduin wins the GP Player of the Year. After
that thing that doesn't exist.
Yeah, that no longer exists. He is the last one of these. After the sweat that Seth Manfield, top 8'd again, so he kind of had to see what literally happened at the end of the GP to figure that one out. So, like, as we were saying, this was sort of a very race to the end. And for them to cut it out is kind of sad, but hats off to BBD.
Yeah, so the race was between BBD, Seth Manfield, Reed Duke, and Tomohiro Saito. And Reed Duke and Saito kind of fell off in day 2. BBD had a pretty solid finish. I think it went X4 maybe, or X3-1. I don't know. But the only way that he could lose it is if Seth Manfield won the tournament.
No, he went X3. He went total
X3
because he had to win it in the last round.
Okay, all right, but pretty solid tournament.
Yeah.
The only way he could lose it is if Seth Manfield won the tournament and Seth Manfield top 8'd. So it's just like, oh man.
the hilarious thing too about Seth is that like he would have just like taken that slot and then pushed his other slot to an at large.
Yeah,
so
like BBD would have just been out.
It would have shifted which slot that Seth had, but it wouldn't have changed his going to Worlds. It only would have affected BBD, and so it was pretty funny.
Yeah.
But I'm glad he got it. It was cool. Like I was up late watching some coverage, and I was like, man, I've never been more excited at like 3 a.m. You know what I mean?
So moving on, we have GP Stockholm, which is won by Elmer Van Egan. I'm gonna say
It's a solid Elmer.
Solid Elmer. Yep. And then GP Montreal, which is won by Hunter Cochran. So congrats to all of our GP champions, and BBD for qualifying for Worlds. So let's move on to Baltimore. So Star City Games Baltimore was a lovely standard tournament, and it was won by some old guy, apparently.
Oh man,
was the going joke on
what
Twitter.
Mishra's Photoshop was doing to poor Osip was awesome.
So it was won by Osip Lebedovitz. Is the best I could say his name. The best I can.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, I literally had to practice it. And it was he was playing green white tokens, and he had a pretty good run throughout the tournament. Saw him early playing, and it was definitely handling the situation fairly well with all of the Bant Coco players that were there. We see that the top half of the top 8 is Bant Coco. Which is not shocking when you take a look at the day 2 metagame breakdown, where almost half of the entire day 2 was Bant Coco. And if you look at the top 32, over half are Bant Coco.
Yeah, I didn't want to get too much into the actual deck list because let's be honest, they're probably all going to be obsolete after this week.
Or the only decks.
Yeah, correct.
Let's be honest.
Yeah, right. But Osip's list was a little interesting for green-white tokens. He had 2 main deck Evolutionary Leap and 3 main deck Tragic Arrogance.
Yeah.
And 0 cards from the new set.
0 cards from the new
Actual
set.
0.
Wow. Man, I'm very glad that, this is clearly is a cornerstone of the current standard format. Very influential. Very influential Eldritch Moon was.
I think that just shows you how powerful green white tokens is though. Gets nothing and still wins the tournament.
I like the way the Tragic Arrogance Evolutionary Leap engine works in this deck, because even if that means that you have a bunch of board states where if you draw the Tragic Arrogance and you're at board parity, then you can turn your cards into card advantage to then set up for the Tragic Arrogance. So end of turn, sack this, draw a couple cards, and then play Tragic Arrogance and still be way ahead. So and you saw that the Tragic Arrogance were to be Bant Company, and that's literally what he did all through the top 8.
Yeah.
I don't know. You saw some games where he had some rough issues, and where I do feel in the top 8, some of his Bant opponents either A, didn't play very well, or B, didn't draw very well. He also sort of got lucky on an Avacyn flip that couldn't have flipped. Against Chris Anderson, the way the board worked out, Chris thought he was going to die to a Avacyn flip because of a Tragic Arrogance, except for the only things that Osip could sacrifice were a Linvala Angel token or a Linvala. Avacyn says non-angel. No one caught it. No one caught it until after the match was over.
Oh, I missed that.
Yeah, yeah. So things definitely as they do when you win a tournament broke for him a little bit, but it's interesting. Maybe this is the answer. But if green white tokens is the answer to Bant Company, then we haven't gotten anywhere.
No, it's literally the same format that we had in Eldritch Moon. Did nothing. It did nothing.
It's like the goggles.
Yes, correct. Also, obviously, nowhere in the top 30. No one's playing goggles. I don't know if that's actually true. Could be very wrong. Didn't really check. Don't really care.
Are you saying the goggles do nothing then?
Currently.
Okay.
So there is a cool deck that we can talk about. It's playing some pretty fun cards. Let's be fair. Yes, correct.
Crash.
Corey Dissinger, I'm gonna probably say is his name, was dissing people by playing Blue Green Crush.
He dominated the Swiss. He was the 1 seed going into the top 8.
Yeah, and that's fairly impressive. So this is a deck that kind of is powered in some ways by Kiora, Master of the Depths, to assist with your Ishkana and Emrakul. But the real draw is obviously the 4 of Crush of Tentacles that you are playing in your list, which is awesome, obviously. But you're playing I will not claim to know how this deck truly works.
So you cast Oath of Nissa, and then you cast Crush the Tentacles, and then you cast Oath of Nissa, and then eventually you get to cast Den Protector, and then so you morph it and you flip it and you get Crush the Tentacles, and then you do it, and then you do it again the next turn.
You just do it over and over again.
Yeah, and then eventually you get an Emrakul and then you win.
Ah, fair enough. You do have Noose Constrictor showing up from the new set. which really helps to block flying creatures, which I imagine that's what it did a lot of the time.
It also, interestingly, is a card that you can tap out with and then not get blown up by Jamoka's command if you don't want to. Like, yeah, it costs resources, but you can, make sure that you're not just they play Sylvan Advocate, you play this, and I'll command it. You're like, oh, actually, I'll kill your guy.
Yeah,
so,
how does that feel?
And I think that's actually pretty. I like the innovation. I like the way he was playing with it. Like he was doing some cool things. There was a lot of weird synergies in the deck that you didn't even see on camera against Chris Anderson. He cast Crush Tentacles, and then Chris goes, "Okay, resolves," and then he pointed to all his clue tokens that were sitting over there, and he was like, "Oh, it's like yeah, get out of here, get out of here!" 4 clue tokens with Tireless Tracker.
Nice. Oh, you thought you were onto something. You know nothing. All those clues, they're gone.
Just literally, I want him to like Crush. He's like, yeah, it's like bounce your clues too. And he goes, really? And he just goes, Jinkies.
Jinkies. Oh man, that's pretty great. I mean, obviously you have some sweet things that happen with the with your Bounding Crassus, your Elvish Visionary, and your Void Grafter that you have, as well as your Ishkanah, which is pretty sweet.
This list seems not very tuned, but it was pretty sweat when it got going on
You're
camera.
just doing something weird that no one's playing around. No one's people probably just play into what you're doing and they don't figure it out until it's too late. But Void Grafter is really sweet when you're trying to protect your newly born octopus. We were just I'll just kill it. And you're like, I don't think so. He's got a shield.
Yeah,
This seems pretty good against green-white tokens, by the way. I don't think they can actually do anything against this deck.
This Crush Tunnel was good against tokens.
Yeah.
I was unaware.
Yeah.
I did not know this.
But they have no way to even, interact. I think Osip even said he was glad that Chris Anderson beat Corey in the top 8 because he was just I had no chance against this deck.
I think it's interesting that this deck is obviously playing Ishkanah and has no way of ever activating it.
I mean, I want to say, and I don't know this for sure, but I want to say that card's in there as well as the Noose Constrictors because I would say the Spirits matchup is probably not great.
Yeah,
they could play everything or not everything, but most things at instant speed. So even if they get Crush Tentacles, they could just rebuild pretty easily.
Yeah, you're not truly disabling them.
Right.
So yeah, I could definitely can understand that. So, but yeah, this deck is fun. It looks sweet, and I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that are pretty interested in actually playing it. It looks like a very Ollie and Trazi deck. For 3,000% sure.
I want to say, I mean, I'm sure people that are playing in the Pro Tour this week were very interested to see this deck do well, and I'm sure more than one team will be testing it out to see if it's legit. But it was fun to watch. I mean, it was something different that we got to see, which was pretty much the only thing different that we got to see from the Star City Open. So,
I did think it was interesting, and I actually tweeted this, but CVM, who was one of the commentators on the weekend, tweeted out what would it take? He goes what number would it take at the PT for Collect Come to be banned? And I literally quoted it. I was like, we talked about this, so I want you to know those who y'all laughed at me. Y'all laughed at me. People were thinking about it. So was Watsy.
Watsy's always thinking about things. Again, we had a very, very large percentage of day 2 being band company, definitely hitting that 50% mark, and no other deck really coming close to the massive amounts of band company. The second highest played deck is green white tokens, right? Is that correct?
Yeah. So band company 53, green white tokens 9. That's the next one.
Oh, that seems drastically separate. So. We see another weekend where green white where Band Company is the most played deck. Didn't necessarily win the tournament, but it's not really what it needs to be looked at. In all honesty, there's only a matter of time before if nothing changes from the Pro Tour and everyone's just on that Band Company, there's just a matter of time before people are you're either playing Band Company or playing a deck that beats Band Company. And even then, Osip, that's what Osip's strategy was try to tune my deck to beat Band Company. And, he did, but he got lucky. And
don't take that out of context. Like I'm saying, like he obviously played
Things-
well. He's a
things
great player,
broke his
but
way.
Things broke his way in the
And-
top 8. They really did.
So you can't just be like, well, where things don't, and then Bad Company just wins. Like it, there's only a matter of time before, like I said, if nothing changes, then it's just a bunch of Bad Company. And then if that's the case, then a lot of people won't be playing Standard until rotation.
I think the thing that to me, is most telling outside of these ridiculous numbers, we already talked about, is Blue Eyed Spirits. You see how many Blue Eyed Spirits decks made day 2? 2. The breakout deck of the format, right? Oh, except for Bant Company's a better Spirits tempo deck than the Spirit deck is. And quite literally, if Bant Company is so, tuned already that that people have decided that playing just like Spell Quellers and Selfless Spirits in the Bant shell with the regular cards is just better than what Spirits is doing, then I really think you have a problem.
Yeah.
Like, you have new decks that are designed to be, tier 1 to tier 2 decks that already can't compete.
Yeah. So what's the point?
Yeah. We have now become like nihilist day 2. Like,
yeah.
Hey, play Bant Company, eat Arby's, and the world's gonna end.
Yeah, basically. So, obviously, I think that with this podcast, we're hoping that something, is shown to us at the Pro Tour that, causes people to not want to just play Band Company and pursue other decks and, something cool. And, we did have that sort of happen with the last Pro Tour where, it came out and then we had a whole bunch of different kind of decks that people weren't necessarily, on beforehand.
It took the format a couple of months to finally boil down to only Black White Control Greenway Tokens Band Company. You're totally right, and we still have 3 decks. So maybe there's hope. But I don't
I'm confident that the Pro Tour will shake things up. And like you said, the last Pro Tour was kind of Band Company was everywhere going into the Pro Tour. There was only one that made top 8. It was still one of the best performing decks at the Pro Tour, but at least we had other options. I don't know about this. I mean, Spell Queller is a hell of a card. It gains, maybe one of the best cards in Standard.
David, language.
Hey, man. I'm just telling it like it is.
It's a heck of a card.
Nah.
All right.
Nah, it's fine. But we'll see. We'll see.
We shall see. I think that is definitely the major takeaway.
Oh, we shall see. I just wanted to say it, too. I'm sorry, guys.
No, you're fine. So let's talk about Modern. Modern's actually a little bit more fun this week. We have a pretty, up-and-comer kind of show up and win the whole darn thing. It's Dredge, piloted by Justin O'Keefe. Now, this has been something that has been gaining a lot of traction. And you can find multiple versions that kind of show up on the winning in the competitive leagues and stuff like that, getting 5-0ing, things like that. And this is one of the decks that kind of got a huge shot in the arm from Shadows over Innistrad Block, because we see Prized Amalgam and Insolent Neonate showing up and really being large enablers for this strategy that they did not have previously, and what kind of pushes this over the edge into competitive, basically, in my opinion. But this is it's something that did not exist before and is now new, and a lot of the cards are very approachable to purchase. Your mana base does get expensive, but you will obviously find that in a four color mana base that we're kind of looking at with Dredge. So it's almost unavoidable. And you can make budget options like you can with most modern mana bases, but you take sacrifices. And with this kind of deck, I don't know if you can necessarily make those sacrifices, but I know a lot of people are very, very excited and to really see this show up and win. Also, All-Star Shriekhorn as a 4-of in this deck list.
So I think that's a card that's new from the list we've seen. We said on here before that the deck has been played a lot locally, but we sort of challenged and said, where is its win? Where is its finish? Well, here it is. So now we'll see. Now, this can go one of two ways. It could, it is a fairly inexpensive deck. I was actually going to look it up on Goldfish to see what price it had. So $700. Which you're talking about a deck that plays 4 Scalding Tarns, but there's also mana base of this deck that doesn't play 4
Oh yeah,
Scalding Tarns.
you
So
actually that is definitely something that you do not have. Like so, you can play 2 more Wooded Foothills and 2 more Blood Crypts,
Yeah.
and cover that, and
qu-
drop the deck price
quite
drastically.
literally, so $719 in paper, and that's $351 in Scalding Tarns. So.
Oh yeah, so you basically cut the price in half if you. Almost in half because you'll have to add in the additional costs for the 2 more Blood Crypts.
But again,
the
you
2
might already
more-
have Wooded Foothills if you played Standard.
Yeah, you might already have
I mean,
we call it?
Neonates, Prized Amalgams.
Yeah.
Honestly, this deck is very, very affordable, and Bridge from Below is really, and Bloodghast are really the two pieces that are pricey otherwise. But,
Right.
Yeah, we saw the Shriekhorn list popped up in the Japanese WMCQs. So the last round. So I believe there were 2 that top aided, and one of them was played by Kenji Samura. So that I think lent a little bit of legitimacy to the deck. Yeah, apparently Shriekhorn is just a staple now in the list. So
apparently that's just the card that also further enables you. So. I think like this is sweet, and this is another deck that just like the Legacy Dredge deck or something like that. There's hate that exists for it, like it may be like playing something as drastic as Rest in Peace. Not every deck can really pull that off easily. The graveyard is definitely a heavily used resource in Modern. So you have Tarmogoyf and Snapcaster decks and stuff like that, but we see in the sideboard like this deck is has 4 Leyline of the Void, where like, well, if you really want to screw over someone's graveyard, Leyline's a good way to do it.
Yeah, I just wanted to give a shout out to our local player Nate Snyder, who's kind of a Dredge aficionado. He won a local PPTQ with Dredge as well over the weekend. So the Modern Classic was not the only tournament that Dredge won over the weekend.
So I guess the other side of that, though, is like now you have a fairly cheap Modern deck people could buy into, but just like in Legacy, once people are like, oh man, didn't Dredge win that event? I guess I'll put like a Rester piece too on my sideboard, and then it gets real rough. So
yeah, we've talked about this like before. It's kind of like a glass cannon where like if you catch people off guard, then yeah, it's going to do some pretty busted things, and if people aren't prepared for it, you're going to have pretty easy time. But if people want to pack the hate, then you're going to lose.
Yeah. Could you imagine the mirror match this deck where you both go, I have effects before the game begins?
Yeah,
I guess you
gonna
just
get that Bloodghast beatdown.
Yeah, I guess you're just playing that sweet aggro game. But
Turn 2, I will cast Narcomoeba.
But
Go.
I mean, at some point in time, I mean, you are prepared for it to some degree because I mean, you obviously have your own ley lines, but you have Dark Blast to kill the X ones. Well, you could do that once, which is probably fine. I don't know. Yeah, I imagine the mirror match probably miserable. Also, like, this deck is very tempting. Like, I'd be like, oh man, this deck seems like it'd be fun, but then I'd have to like remember how Bridge from Below works. I don't know if I want to do that.
That's not a real Magic card.
If you need help figuring out the logistics of Bridge from Below, just hire a demonic attorney.
I might need to do that. I hope his rates are, fair. Probably not though.
It's only like half your life rounded up.
Is a demon. Yeah, that seems a bit steep. A bit steep, but not surprising. Also, don't know why you would need demonic in front of the word attorney. Just saying, they're all fairly evil. I'm just kidding. I apologize to all attorneys.
Oh, we got 2 apologies this episode.
Love you, Jordan.
Man,
Hey,
that's a 2 front love.
he hasn't paid half his life rounded up just yet.
Not yet.
So should we talk about Darwin?
Oh yeah, of course. So the other sweet deck to talk about was the third place list piloted by Jeff Hooglin, and he was playing Darwin Kiki Cord. It's named that because he's playing for Eldritch Evolution, the card that everyone's like, oh man, this card's busted. This is going to show up everywhere. Blah blah blah. This is going to tear up Standard. This is going to tear up Modern. Well, it's shown up in Modern before Standard, of course. But this is another way that you can obviously work up through your list to get some pretty sweet cards. Obviously, I mean, sacrificing your what you can sacrifice like a Spellskite and get a P and Kirinalar or a Linvala because it's like,
Sacrifice your voice
Voice
of
of
resurgence to
Resurgence?
get P and Kirinalar.
That seems-
now you've got a large token.
that seems well worth it. Well worth it. So, yeah, we even see an innovation in Selfless Spirit showing up here, which is pretty great. But yeah, this list is probably what a lot of people are going to be drawn to going forward playing Kiki Horde. What do you? Yeah, I know you played Kiki Horde for a hot sec. What do you think about this list?
I would have to play Eldritch Evolution to know for sure, but I will say this deck has an interaction that is so overwhelmingly positive that I could see why, like, it alone may justify Eldritch Evolution, and that is Revelark. So sack my Revelark to Eldritch Evolution, getting back these two things to get an Elish Norn. Your board presence, and you can get P and Kirinalar back off this. Don't forget, because it's power 2 or less. So somebody would say, please get a Hornet Queen, which, I mean, maybe. So let's put that there too. But in all reality, this is Kiki Horde was always a deck that it could combo off. It could have these huge value chains, but just Collect a Company, it could just attack. Well, now the combo element of it, where you're not even trying to go infinite, is disgustingly good as well, because Elish Norn is great, and having Elish Norn in your deck is pretty good against a lot of decks in the format. But also, it just provides just a crazy clock. You could have board presence advantage already, and they're just okay, well, I'll crack for my Elish Norn to take it for lethal, and ends up working like a Crater Hoof Behemoth almost too. So this deck, that interaction alone makes me feel that Eldritch Evolution is probably at least worth considering when you're building these decks.
Yeah, I'd play it. Seems sweet. I would also lose with this deck all the time, and just not seed lines, stuff like that. So,
I will say one of the main, I guess, the drawback of Eldritch Evolution is you have to sack the creature as an additional cost. Well, I feel like the blue decks are really being held down in Modern right now. There really aren't that many. I mean, you see Jeskai decks pop up from time to time, but even they're not running that many counter spells.
Oh yeah, you don't want to get this remanded. That could definitely be a thing to consider.
yeah, that's a feel bad right there.
But there's a lot of sweet things that this card can do. Now, I will say, I'm pretty sure Jeff said that this deck was a hot mess no matter what. I think he's still working. But that's kind of what's happened the last few times we've seen a deck like this. So if anybody's going to make this card work, it's probably
for sure. All right. We do want to touch on the Legacy Classic here real quick. Ben Friedman took it down with Grixis Delver, so shout out to Mr. Friedman.
Grixis Delver always wins.
Yeah, I mean, whatever. Who even cares about Legacy anymore?
Let's move on.
Sorry to all Legacy players. It's just sorry in general, all Eternal players. I guess I do not consider your formats relevant.
Wow.
Get wrecked. Anything else in competitive that we want to bring up, talk about? Silence?
That's about it, man.
Cool.
We'll have a lot to talk about next week.
Oh, man. Next week's going to be great.
Hopefully. And that's not just, oh, man, Band Company, 7 out of the 8 top 8 decks.
So, hope you're ready for, this weekend. We have Eldritch Moon Pro Tour. I don't know why I said it that way. Pro Tour Eldritch Moon.
Eldritch Moon, Pro Tour?
Yes, correct. I said it last name, first name. And PT is going to be starting at 7 p.m. Eastern Time on Thursday for us. So, nice prime time Pro Tour coverage going on. Gonna be able to sit down, watch the game, get a viewing party, stuff like that.
The viewing party that lasts until 6 in the morning.
Yeah,
or whatever.
Yeah, man, it's a real long game. No, just kidding. But it's kind of interesting. You can watch it. You might have a rough Friday, but who cares? We do have some interesting storylines going into the Pro Tour. And I know, Dave, that you wanted to kind of touch on this here a little bit.
I'll just touch on it real quick. So this is the last Pro Tour of the season, basically the culmination of the whole year. So this is always, for me, this is the most fun Pro Tour because I enjoy some of the storylines. So you have all the remaining World slots that haven't already been claimed. We'll know who's going to be competing at Worlds after this weekend. We'll know who all the champions are for each for the World Magic Cup. We'll know who the captains are for all those.
When are ballots due for Hall of Fame?
I want to say, are they going to announce it?
I thought this is the Pro Tour where they announced.
Will they announce it?
Yeah.
I think that might be true.
It would be interesting if it wasn't this one, it was the next one, because I think there's a couple people who could possibly use this to pad if it's the next one. But I think it is this one where they announced that. So that would be cool to see that announcement. These ballots I've seen have been all over the place. I wonder if anybody will get in. And that sounds weird. Like, I take it back. Owen's going to get in. Owen's going to get in. But like,
I'm pretty sure you
no.
you went to that.
Yeah. I think those are the two that I've seen the most. But even then, like, a lot of people have been wishy-washy because I think they both have 3 top 8s, not 4. Which has been, now, that's been the number for so long, but now we're getting to the point where the only people with 4 PT top 8s are people that no one is voting for anymore. So, I don't know, this will be interesting. If it's just the 2 of them?
Yeah, I think, there's definitely been like a shift on like where the invisible line is of like what constitutes, a Hall of Famer and what doesn't as far as number of Pro Tour top 8s. I mean, there used to be more Pro Tours back in the day. So, a lot of the earlier Hall of Famers probably had a slightly inflated number for that. Sure. I think also working with, there weren't as many high caliber players back then. Not that the players weren't as good, but I feel like the teams are so streamlined now, and the testing is like is vigorous, I guess, that like maybe it wasn't like that back in the day. So you just have a lot more players that are very, very good. But anyway, I mean, I think even so, I think Owen and Yuya's, I think their resumes are definitely good enough, and I think they've shown that they've been elite for over a long period of time.
Now, I don't want to derail our closing segment here, but I will say the write-ups I've seen for Yuya. Now, I think Yuya should get in. The guy is just everywhere, but people have said that his lack of top 8s at Pro Tours are made up by the fact that his like prolific output on the GP circuit. Yet no one ever considers Rolf Levy, who's like nearing 500 pro points or something insane like that, and is a GP machine, just not as great in the Pro Tour. So I wonder why, like, why is it okay for Yuya to be now his
Well, Rolf Levy is a Hall of Famer.
Who am I thinking of then?
I don't know.
I thought Rolf Levy wasn't.
Oh no, he was one of the first couple classes.
Okay, hold on. I might be getting something confused. I thought there was somebody. I thought he was the one who had like an obscene number of pro points but wasn't in.
Was it Justin Gary? He's another guy that they've...
Ignore what I just said. I'm going to go back to the drawing board and look that one up. My apologies. I may just be wrong.
Yeah. But, I don't know. I think Yuya might be... He might be my favorite player to watch. He's just so good.
The match... Again, I was up really late this weekend, but the match between BBD and Yuya...
They played each other twice.
Yeah, well, so the day 2 match, where literally game 1, Yuya had Liliana and Nahiri, right? And BBD won that match.
Oof!
Like that match was insane. Like, and BBD just like crushed him the next 2 games. It just like tempoed him out, and it was great. And like, but game 1, like you would never have thought that like the BBD's deck could even do it. It was. I was like, man, this match is great.
Is that considered hard mode when you have to play Yuya twice in the same GP when you're trying to take down the GP Player of the Year race?
I think it's hard mode when you have to play in a GP where you have to do better than Seth Manfield.
Yeah,
I think that's hard mode.
Yeah, that's hard enough. Anyway, so I don't know for certain if they're going to announce it, but I think they are. In any case, so in addition to the other things that we talked about as far as world slots being locked up, World Magic Cup, we'll have Player of the Year. Well, now Seth Manfield has a pretty comfortable lead, but it's not inconceivable that I believe Owen has a chance, and there's some other guys. I think Steve Rubin is number 3 at this point. And then we have Shodi Asoka, Martin Mueller, and LSV. Let's see here. Okay. Yeah, so basically any of the other guys that not Owen have to top 8 just to even have a chance to overtake Seth Manfield. And realistically, Owen will probably need a top 8 as well to overtake him. So, I mean, chances are we'll see Seth Manfield take it down. I mean, he's just been on fire. Seems like a lot of times, like with the Player of the Year, it's kind of like whoever gets hot at the end. I feel like Mike Siegrist kind of did that at the end of last year. He did have a PT top 8 at the beginning, but it seemed like he had a lull in the middle of the season, and then he kind of ramped it up at the end. and we saw him beat out Ufro in that last Pro Tour. I don't think we'll see it happen this time. I think Manfield is just too hot right now, and I expect him to do pretty well at the Pro Tour. So you never know, though. So I guess that race isn't as interesting as it normally is. Let's see what else. I mean, you also have multiple players that are still trying to get platinum, and I'm sure that'll be talked about at length at the Pro Tour. They like to highlight certain players that are going for platinum status or gold status or what have you. They need to reach certain records. These are all kind of laid out in detail if you read Rich Hagan's article, which is on the Mothership today. It's just titled Pro Tour Eldritch Moon Preview Part 2. It'll kind of go into detail of what everybody is going for here. So it's kind of hard for us to talk about every single thing, but basically there's a lot going on. Last Pro Tour of the year. It's exciting. I'm pretty pumped for this Pro Tour.
Well, last Pro Tour of the year. Can't hold anything back now, Tom.
I mean, I want to be excited. I want to have hope. I want to believe that it won't just be Pro Tour Band Company. And if we're lucky, it won't. So I'm excited to watch what I can of it. Obviously, it being in Australia and me being here makes it a little difficult. Plus, also just being in Gen Con. The other thing that's happening over the weekend. Good segue.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So Mike and I are actually going to be attending Gen Con this year. And Mike is going to be attending just as a, typical con attendee, but I will actually be working some of the time for Cool Stuff Inc. You might know from just being an awesome retailer. All the cool stuff. And then, of course, for, Evan Irwin being his new home. So he will also be in attendance, which I'm very excited about. So maybe I'll actually get to meet Evan Irwin, which will be pretty sweet. I imagine that he might be hanging around the Cool Stuff Inc. booth. Probably not. I'll probably never see the man, but, who cares? But I'd like to say hi. I mean, he was pretty influential in me being interested in being a voice for the community. And, dude just always amped about stuff. You can't be, upset about anything around him. I can't imagine. He's just so excitable. And I want that to be the case. So it'll be sweet. So if you are going to Gen Con this weekend, come say hi. I'll be working in the mornings mainly on, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and then all day Sunday technically. So if you're a fan of the show, that's where I'll be. As well as, of course, when I'm not working, I will definitely be 3,000% in the Magic Hall and looking for foils for BattleBox. So those are going to be, that is my my goal, is to finish out some sweet foiling for BattleBox.
So I don't mean to put you guys on the spot or anything, but can we expect any content to come out of this for the cast? Or
probably not. It's a vacation. It's a vacation.
Strictly a thing? Okay.
Yeah, Pastimes isn't even running any sort of Gen Con championship thing this year. So
yeah,
which I expressed my disappointment with at them. They responded in kind. They were like, "Oh, we'll take it into consideration." They didn't.
They're like, "Oh, it's this guy again."
Well, I mean, as far as I understand, I'm still one of the few people who've gotten paid from that 10K. So
wow,
and that's due to my persistence.
It's okay. I mean, we're going to be there. We're going to do obviously team trios because Mike's wife is also going to be attending. So hopefully we can sneak in a team trios event to get some prep
and some
2 at a giant draft. Oh yeah. Oh yes, I'm very excited about that.
Firing on demand.
I want to be able to do that as much as I can. Obviously, I know that Mike, you will likely be with your wife doing 2 at a giant drafts a lot of the time. So
I want to do some modern win boxes as well. So
that'll be fun. Obviously, playing that sweet Death Shadow aggro.
I do have to go around the floor and find Mishra's bottles first. So
that is the awkward part.
But I have like that.
Do you want to just borrow mine just in case?
If you have it with you.
I don't have one.
Nah, see, I don't want to drive to your house.
Okay.
Honestly, it's real sad. I probably should, but I think part of the fun of Gen Con, just like Morgan wants to find BattleBox foils, I have a stack of cards that get signed for BattleBox, and I'll go around the floor hunting around for sweet deals because that's half the fun of these cons.
Of course,
is doing that.
Just get some sweet deals.
Apparently, there's also a potato game. Like you're supposed to bring a potato in as a sacrifice to this one booth, and they'll give you a prize if you bring in a big potato.
Oh,
I'm not kidding. I set this aside to show you. So if you're going to Gen Con, make sure you bring those large potatoes with you.
Yeah. Also, I know Steve Argyle has a huge presence there. Typically, he's
For potatoes?
No, just
okay.
in general. And he has requested snacks and various things you can bring him. And if you do, potentially if you do so early enough in the day, he has binder candy that he will be giving out, which is fairly awesome.
So you're saying Steve Argyle will alter your potato?
No, I'm just saying this is nothing to do. This is not potato related. This is
Okay.
So I didn't know that. I will pull aside some of my Steve Argyle battle box cards that he's already signed, and I'll bring him some Cliff Bars, and we will see what happens.
Yeah, he has specific requests. I think you'll get more mileage out of the Diet Mountain Dew. I believe was one of the
Okay,
the
good
requests.
call. Good
So-
call. Good looking out.
So definitely do that. I don't like getting cards signed, so usually I don't necessarily see a lot of artists, unfortunately. But I do appreciate them going to cons and showing up and being there. I'm very appreciative of it. But it's huge. If you haven't been to Gen Con, I can't sing its praises enough. This is like my 5th year in a row going, and this is the first time that I actually decided to volunteer for a booth and try to do something whilst being there. So we'll see how well I like it. It may turn out that I just enjoy having free time rather than being in a booth all day. But I hope that's not the case. But it'll be fun, and it's always a good time. So, and then of course, if you are here in Columbus, we do have the regional that is going on, as well as the Super IQ that's going to be held on Sunday, the next day. But I believe that's going to be everything for this week's episode. So please do your best to get in contact with us if you have any questions or concerns. We have a Facebook page. You can just do a quick search for @YourEndStep and we come up. We also have a Twitter. It's @your endstep. So you can just do a search for your endstep on Twitter and we'll be there. We also have an email address @YourEndstep@gmail.com and a website which is just @YourEndstep.com. Also, you can download our podcast from iTunes. You can also download it from the Google Music Store as well, and through MTGcast, which is a great repository for so many other Magic podcasts. Please, go there and find a new favorite show while you're there. Of course, we'll still be your most favorite show.
Second favorite.
Yeah, but another favorite. But again, that is everything for this week. We'll catch you guys next time. Enjoy your Pro Tour viewing and your Gen Con attending and your regional tournament and your IQ attending over the weekend. And have a great one.